Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So today we are going to learn about work areas, internal table and various operations in that like append operation, insert, delete, modify operation on internal table and then loop and end loop statement. So now let's get started. So in the last video, we talked about how we can declare constants and user-defined structure. So we will be utilizing it in today's session only. So before that, let's see how we can comment and uncomment this line of code. For example, whether you can even you can click on right click on it, and if you have an option here, for example, more, no, here, format, yeah. So here you have a option like comment. You can do comment it using this, and even you can use control and keyboard option as well, control and then less than key. So that is for commenting and uncommenting. Now let's try to activate it. It will be activated here, and if you want to uncomment it again, you can again select right click, either right click, and the favorable will be the control and less than sign. For example, I am doing it here as of now this. So now let's talk about the work areas. So work areas and internal tables are your runtime structures that holds your runtime data that we will see today in our session. So it basically holds your runtime data that you can utilize in your ABAP report program, for example, to print some data on the output and to pass some data to the smart forms, you can say Adobe Forms, and even in the some standard tables as well to update that data. So we will be seeing everything in detail. So now let's quickly see how you can declare a work area. For that you need to type data and then you need to write it like this. For example, ls and underscore, you can give a str underscore type. You need to now for type you can either pass your SE11 structure here, or you can even pass your user defined structure that we created. So for example, this we have created, and if you want to create an internal table or local table, we can say, so we will refer local table as a lt underscore str, and type you can write type table of and then ty underscore str. So this way you can declare your work area ls underscore str, and then somewhere you will see as well wa underscore str. So that is also the same thing, work area, and it instead of lt. So that is the same thing. So you can do the syntax check and then try to activate it. So this way you can create your work area internal table. And if you want to see like in debugging, like how in this structure looks like and what are the fields in that and what how the table looks like, so you can put a breakpoint here by clicking directly on here the icon, or you can even type just above it breakpoint and then try to activate. So basically this breakpoint is basically we avoid and we try to use our as the break and then space and then user ID, SAP user ID, so that we later on someone doesn't get the stop if someone runs this report. And once the program is developed, you need to remove all the breakpoints, whether it is hard breakpoint or it's a break and a space your user ID. So let's quickly see in the debugging mode and see how the structures work areas looks like and internal table looks like. So the debugging is loading. After that we will be seeing how it looks. So just give it a some time. Some network issue could be there. It's loading. You can see the loading sign. Yeah, it's loading. Great. So if you just click on desktop 3 and just double click on this work area that we just created, and also here double click. So you will see in the variable 1 tab, it will open this work area here, so that you can see it is referring as a structure D. So if you double click on it, you will see the Z name, Z partner, Z email ID are the fields in this structure, or you can say work area that we just created here back. If you see here, Z name, Z partner, and Z email ID. So all these are part of now my work area. So, and similarly, you will see the internal table structure as well. For example, lt underscore str, Z name, Z partner, Z email ID. Now let's execute it and try to add some data in this table, and now we will be performing some operation as well, like insert, append, modify, delete. For example, let me put some data in this internal table by using work area ls underscore str. You can pass the hyphen, then you can do even control space. You will get to see all the field values here, field names here, like Z email ID, Z name, Z partner, similar like above. So you can select anyone, Z name, and then equal to, you can pass any name here. For example, I'm passing J, and then you can again take a reference of this work area, and then you can pass Z partner, the next value. You can pass the value employee ID, like for example 7291, and then you can pass an email ID as well by selecting the control space value, or you can even enter it. Enter, then you can pass an email ID as well here. For example, j@abc.com. Now let's try to insert data in our internal table. For example, using insert statement, for example. So insert, you can use insert keyword and insert ls underscore, you need to choose, for example, ls underscore str into keyword, and then your internal table type name, lt underscore str. So this way you can insert it. And now let's do the syntax check here. It will give you some kind of error. Yeah, it will give you, because you have not defined any structure. So this is what the basic difference between insert and append statement that we will see. For example, let me just as of now just put the index 1. We want to insert this data at like index 1 only, and now let's copy it again and place here and pass another name like John, you can mention, and then employee ID as 7292, and then you can pass here like John at the rate some other email ID XYZ, and then we will be inserting this data at the second row, or you can say second index. Now let's do syntax check. The perfect, no syntax error. You can try even pretty printer here as well, so it will make your letter capital. And now let's activate it. So this way you can insert your data using the insert keyword or statement with the help of indexes. And now let's talk about the append operation. So insert and append has basic differences, like insert, when we use insert, it basically insert your data at particular index level, and when we use append statement, it basically insert your data at the end of your internal table. For example, you have two rows already appended in your internal table, and now if you insert some data, for example, let's see another employee Ram, and then employee ID 7293, and then you can give anything ram at the xyz.com or something, and then if you use the append keyword here, append ls underscore str, then you need to use 2 here, and then internal table name. So here you will see you are not passing any index value here like we are passing here. So this is the main difference here, like it insert the data at the index level, like row wise, like whether you want to insert data at index 1, index 2, and then append is used when you want to insert data at the last row. For example, 2 rows are already there, now this will be appended at your index level 3 automatically at the end of your internal table. So if you do syntax check, no error, perfect, then you can put activate here, and now we will see this data in the debugging, like how it is processing. Let me quickly see, it's loading. debugging screen is loading, and see once it loaded how it looks like. It's loading still. Yeah, it's loaded. So if you see here, LTSTR or less internal table, LTSTR has 3 records now. Why? Because, or let me quickly show you like how the data is getting filled here. We can even delete all the data here from this internal table for learning perspective. So just click on this delete whole table, and yeah, click on this and then save it, and just go back and then put the statement here, or you can do shift F12 here. It will take your breakpoint here directly. Go to statement, or even you can do the right click here in the code and you can select the go to statement that we will be discussing in our debugging session. So now to execute every statement, you can either press F5 or F6, as this is a single level code only. So in a report only, so you can pass an F5, F5. So if you pass F5, it will start filling your structure here, the structure. So again F5, again F5. And if you see here, now the data is having J and this. And it will now append your data in LT underscore str if you just press F5 at index level 1. So at one index, it has push your data. If you do the F5 again, it will be having your second row of data like this, John. And then if you just execute another piece of code for append, so get name, get per, get email ID, and then it will insert your data automatically at the third index like this, ram at the rate xyz. Now let's execute it and quickly go to your program again. So here we talked about insert, append operation. Now let's talk about the delete one. For example, you want to delete some data at, for example, index 2. So you can write the statement like something delete lt underscore str index 2. You want to delete data at index 2 level. Quickly check the pretty printer. You can even check the syntax and then try to activate it. Now let's check the output in the debugging. I know there's some network issue, guys, so you can even skip some particular seconds of video if you want, else you can bear with me. Thank you. So it's loading. Debugging screen is getting loaded. Not a problem. It will soon be loaded here. Yeah, it's loaded. So if we see, it has executed because we put the breakpoint here, and let's see how many records are there. Yeah, 2 records are there, and it has deleted the record. It must have deleted the record John, and we must have left with J and Ram here. Let's see. So J and Ram is here because we deleted the data at index 2, and now the last record was at index 3, so it will automatically shifted to the index 2. So that is how the delete statement works. Let's go back and see the loading executed. Yeah, go back. So now we will talk about loop and loop statement here with the modify statement as well. We will see. So loop and loop is basically used when you want to traverse your internal table data, and even you can print it. For example, loop, if you just try it, even you have a shortcut here that we will be discussing, and also you can write it like loop at and then your internal table name and then your work area name. which is in our case is ls underscore str, and then end loop statement. And you can do pretty printer, you can do syntax check here as well. And it's kind of loading. Yeah, it's loading. So before that, we can even clear our work area, for example, ls underscore str, so that we can fill it again in our internal table area. So for example, ls underscore str, we can modify some data here. We can even for example, suppose we have a name J and then partner and then email ID. Suppose we want to update some data or update some, for example, email ID, for example, in this case, at this level. Or for example, would want to update email ID, common email ID everywhere. So for that, what you can do, ls underscore str, you can mention like your work area, and then z email id you can select from the control space using. Then you can pass like a common email id at the rate xyz.com, right? For example, we are doing this, and it says data type as string, right? So now what we have to do, we can use the modify statement here as well, using, for example, modify ls string, or you can mention modify from ls underscore str using, or you can pass from here as well, from this, or you can pass even this as well. Now let's try to do syntax check here. It's no syntax is there, and you can even clear here as well. Clear ls underscore str, do the pretty printer thing as we do always, and now let's try to activate it. So loop and loop comes into the picture as we discussed when you want to traverse all the data. For example, we want to print even the one by one every data. For example, you can even write here the write statement if you just want to see in the output screen. Example, write ls underscore str underscore name z name you can pass. Yeah, so this way you can print it. Make the pretty printer, try to activate it. Now we can put even breakpoint here as well. And now let's check the output in the debug. So the debugging mode is getting loaded. Now let's quickly wait for it, and we'll be able to see the output. Yeah, it's loaded successfully, and let's see. The data in your internal table is like lt underscore str. So we have two records that we want to update with this common email ID thing. So if you press F5 here, you will see in the output when we executed all the code. For example, now just press F5, it will just print on the screen name. And then email ID, you have value as like this. For example, we want to update it with this common email ID. So it will update this with common email ID at the xyz.com, and then it will modify your uh, internal table as well here. For example, let's do F5. Now let's see here, lt underscore internal table. So it has updated your email ID successful. And now let's try to do again F5. It will again go as you have two rows here, so it will run for two times. So now let's check for another time, F5. So if you want to see like what is the counter here, you can even pass. You can even check here like using site tab ix, not z, it's x. So if you see, so it is also saying like you're running your current iteration is 2. For example, second row is getting traversed. So now let's do F5 again, and the email ID should have updated now. So if you see here, so both have now common email ID that we discussed. So now let's quickly F5 and F5. You just do F5 this time, it will come out of the loop because we have only two rows here. So that is the use of loop and loop statement. Now do again F5. It will now on the screen print your names that we use this here. So now click on F8 to come out of the screen. So this is how the output looks like. For example, you here pass the name thing. So this is how the J coming, then Ram is coming, and then this is expected, which is this statement else underscore was constant value. Now let's do back and understand what we developed today. We created some structures in earlier video, then we created today work areas. We understand what they are. They are runtime variables, you can say, that stores your runtime data here, which you can utilize in your back program for modifying delete operation and other operations as well. Then we try to learn insert statement here using index, and then we also learn about append statement and the difference between insert and append statement. And then we talk about the delete statement as well, how we can delete the particular data, or you can even delete the data. For example, delete lt table where z name equal to ram, so it will delete the particular data at this where the z name equal to ram will be. And then we are clearing some uh, work area using the clear statement as well. Then we talked about loop and loop statement where we printed some data, and then we updated our internal table which was filled above with some common email ID thing, and then we modified our internal table using modify statement. So I hope you like this video, and in the next video we will be learning about report event